Okay. Good morning, one and all. So today is a special session being arranged towards this AECS. So today we'll see the sixth lecture. This is this one, and today we'll see different types of electrical charging systems. So far we have seen different types of alternators, their characteristics and all. So we have found that alternator is producing a three-phase AC, but we know that for batteries and other jobs in the car or other electrical loads in the car, they are all kind of DC. So how this three-phase AC is converted to DC and why regulation is required and how to do the regulation of voltage, we will see here today. So rectification is a process of AC to DC conversion. Now, depending on the input available, it can be one phase AC, it can be three phase AC. So alternator in the vehicle actually produces AC from the rotation of the engine. So whatever engine rotation is there, that is connected or coupled with the alternator. So whenever the engine starts, alternator also gets started. So the rotatory motion, whatever is required for electricity generation, that is actually coming from the engine rotation. So AC from the rotation of the engine is the source of energy, but no charge the but to charge the battery and run other vehicles components, AC will not do. Okay. For this, DC is actually required, and AC to DC conversion is done inside the vehicle by silicon diode rectifiers. So single phase half wave rectifier HWR produces DC with less efficiency. We have seen this kind of circuit in our first year, or this is a very basic primitive circuit where there is an input, there is a sinusoidal AC, and single diode is used for rectification of only the positive half cycle. So here efficiency directly comes below to 50%, we have seen, because we are not using the energy in the negative half cycle. So only the positive half cycle is rectified. So you can see here input is positive, negative both, but output is only positive or unidirectional. Not necessarily only positive is required. Somebody, for some application, if we require negative half cycle, in that case we can just change the direction of this diode and we will be having the negative half cycle, and in that case the average DC will be negative. So there's a half wave rectifier with a diode, half cycle is blocked, that is negative half cycle is blocked, power output is less. So if we want more power output, in that case we have to rectify the negative half cycle as well, and we have to make it positive. So that is actually done by a 4 diode full wave bridge rectifier. So you can see here only single phase is the input, so this is called single phase half wave rectifier. The circuit of full wave bridge rectifier single phase is shown here. So this is the input side, single phase AC. Generally for our electricity home supply, 50 hertz here, and whatever output we are getting is a rippled DC. Now from this rippled DC, if we want a pure DC, we have to connect a regulator after this. So a capacitor kind of filter we can connect here, and then after that filter we will be getting a pure DC. So 4 diode full wave bridge rectifier, both the cycles are rectified, power output is high. So we can see here the details of bridge rectifier. So a 4 diode full wave bridge rectifier, FWBR it is called in short, it rectifies both the half cycles of single phase AC. So a diode is often considered to be a one-way valve for electricity. It actually gets triggered. So positive half cycle it comes at the output even if the input is little greater than 0.7 volt or so. Voltage of 1 volt AC, it will be rectified and we can get the rectified output at the output. But reverse direction, even if you are connecting 400 volt AC, this diode is not going to conduct. So just see how much pressure it can withstand in the reverse. Even if you are connecting 400 volt AC in the reverse direction, that is reverse direction means the cathode is connected with positive and anode is connected with negative, that is actually reverse bias. In that case diode will not conduct, but a small voltage of even 1 volt in the proper direction in the positive bias will make the diode forward bias. So it's a very good quality kind of latch or quality kind of valve with very high you can say accuracy of rectification. So 400 volt in the negative direction cannot make it forward bias, cannot make it conducting, but 1 volt in the forward direction will make it conducting. So small voltage of even greater than 0.7 volt in forward direction will make it conducting, and controlling of diode is very much easy. So exactly the same kind of configuration, but for three phase. So next we are going to see is three phase fully controlled and full wave bridge rectifier. So this is actually a three phase full wave bridge rectifier. You can see there instead of two arm we have added another arm here. So this is a three-phase AC. Now three-phase alternator produces this three-phase AC, which each phase is 120 degrees centigrade apart from each other, and they are producing a ripple DC. You can see this ripple DC to pure DC. We can filter it and we can get pure DC. So this is the point of output. From here, the pure or ripple DC output is taken. So to rectify three-phase AC, which is produced by the alternator, this kind of rectifier we require, which is called as a 6-diode full wave bridge rectifier. So these three are called as positive diode, and these three are called as the negative diode. So this kind of bridge we are going to keep inside the vehicle, because alternator is producing this three-phase AC. R, Y, B phase, you can say each phase is 120 degree apart. So each of these three phases are rectified, and we are going to get output DC, but this is called ripple DC. So there is another stage required after this, which is called a filter. The output of the filter, we can get perfect DC. But here is astonishing detail that exactly we are not using 6-diode rectifier in case of a car or vehicle application. We will be rather using 9-diode, and in next slide I will update it further. It will be 11-diode rectifier arrangement. So you'll see what is that. So in this case, none of these rectifier circuits shown previously is used in the vehicle for rectification. That is single diode, 4-diode or 6-diode. They are not used. We are using quite a modified version of the diode now, or rectifier now. So 9-diode rectifier circuit is shown in the circuit below. So here this three actually stator supply is connected from here. So star connected or delta connected stator. If it is delta connected, it will be generating three-phase 3-wire system like this. So three phase, let's consider each phase is having frequency of 50 hertz. So this for mainly domestic application. For vehicle application, this frequency is quite high, more than that. But for just for understanding sake, let us say that each phase is producing 50 hertz AC. So all these three phases are coming out here. They are fully rectified. Okay, so this is the sector B. So what the sector B is doing, it's a fully rectified stage, and this fully rectified DC is going here to charge the battery. Okay, so this supply is going to charge the battery. Okay, so what is written here, sector stator three-phase AC. So whatever alternator is producing is a three-phase AC. It is rectified by the 6 diodes. So there's full wave bridge rectifier diode B. So main bridge with 6 diodes of higher current rating is shown here in this sector. So this full wave rectifier DC is used to charge the battery and to run the electrical accessories within the vehicle. Okay, but here you can see another 3 auxiliary diodes, and these 3 are also getting using the same supply from the stator connection. Okay, the same supply which is coming for rectification and the output is going to battery. The same supply is used for rectification, but by positive auxiliary diodes or field diodes as they called. But this supply, this DC supply is little less, because this is half wave rectifier, and this rectified output is going towards the DC rotor MMF. So this is another big thing you should know. So this is for sector A. So sector B output DC is going for charging the battery, but where is sector A output going for? If you remember, I told you that generator or alternator is actually using Fleming's right hand rule. So what is Fleming's right hand rule? It says that there should be a motion. That means whatever rotor is there, there should be a rotary motion of that. So that rotary motion is coming from rotation of the rotor, and that rotor is connected with the IC engine. Okay, so IC engine is rotating the rotor. So there is the motion or rotating motion inside the alternator. Second thing we require is a magnetomotive force inside the alternator. So how to create that magnetomotive force? That means there should be a magnet, but permanent magnet is not there. Okay, so inside the rotor, inside the alternator, actually rotor is there, and this is the supply. This is the supply which is taken from the stator supply, which is half wave rectified and going to the rotor, and this is actually creating that electromagnet around the rotor. Okay, so rotor, inside rotor, the windings and poles are done in such a way that whenever this supply, that is supply from this DC supply, which is actually taken from the stator connection, as soon as this supply goes inside the rotor, it is given to actually the rotor windings, and there are maybe 12 pole rotor, there may be 18 pole rotor, and this rotor is taking this electricity supply, and that is actually producing the electromagnet inside the alternator. And as soon as an electromagnet is produced, there will be MMF generated, there will be flux generated, and that flux will be rotating because the rotor is connected with the engine. And so that means there is created a rotating magnetic field inside the alternator. So that rotating magnetic field, whenever it will be cutting the stator conductors, because stator is connected in star form or in delta form, there are a lot of conductors in the stator. So whenever it's the rotating magnetic field, because this is rotating because this is connected with the IC engine. Okay, so whenever this is rotating magnetic field is created, and whenever it is rotating inside the stator, it will produce electricity, and that electricity will be three-phase AC. Okay, and that three-phase AC again will be coming here. So that three-phase AC will be coming here, and again we'll go for rectification. So one part of the rectification goes for charging battery, another part of the rectification goes for creating the magnetomotive magnet inside the alternator. So these are the two types of rectifier. So sector A is generating DC, kind of low current DC, low wattage DC. This is going for creating rotor MMF, and sector B is producing DC, which will go to charge the battery. So it is said that stator three phase AC is also having also rectified by a 3 diode in sector A. So this is half wave rectification. They are having smaller current ratings, that is these diodes are having smaller current ratings. The rectified smaller DC is used for creation of rotor magnetic field. These 3 extra diodes are called auxiliary diode or field diode or excitation diode. Why they are called field diode? Because they are creating the magnetic field. Why they are called auxiliary diode? Because these 6 are the main diodes and these 3 are the associative diode. Okay, so that's why they are called as auxiliary diode. And some is called excitation diode because they are creating the MMF inside the alternator, and because of that MMF, that magnetomotive force is created. So this supply is actually exciting the rotor coil with kind of excitation supply. That's why it is called excitation diode. Okay, now in some cases you will be finding these 3 diodes are not used. A part of this output, main output, is going to the rotor to create the electric field or to create the magnetic field. So not necessarily these 3 diodes are connected. A part of this main output, which is going to the battery, a part of it is taken to the rotor, and the MMF is created from that DC supply. Okay, and this supply is actually connected to the rotor coil by means of slip ring and brush, because rotor is a rotating part and this is a static connection. So when static connection is given to a rotary part, it is given by the means of a slip ring brush arrangement. Okay, so that we have to understand. Now it is called that diodes in rectifier pack, that is this part as well as this part, both are rectifiers, also serve as to prevent the reserve. So this 6 diodes are actually preventing any kind of current flow from the battery towards the alternator. Okay, because you can see bottom side is anode, top side is cathode positive. So if by any chance the alternator is off, that means the bottom side is low voltage and top side is positive, is very high positive voltage, then all these diodes will become reverse bias. So we have to ensure that no current is coming from the battery towards the alternator. If that current comes from battery toward the alternator, that will actually damage the alternator. Okay, so these 6 diodes are also acting as the blocking diode. Okay, so this is mentioned here. Diodes in rectifier pack also serve to prevent the reverse current flow from the battery to the alternator. So battery is connected here. From this point towards bottom, no current flow should be there. Alternator can allow run in parallel with battery. So alternator can now run in parallel with battery means car engine is running, alternator is producing AC energy. That AC energy is rectified and given to the battery. So all these things can happen simultaneously. There is generation of rotation, generation of three-phase electricity, then generation of DC and charging of the battery. All these things can run in parallel. So figure shows a rectifier pack connected with the alternator. So you can see this is the casing of the big alternator, and inside this casing, below behind this plastic module, all these circuits are connected. So you can see this is the stator of the Bosch alternator, and from here this is the actual stator coil, and from the stator coil three wires are taken. So this is a delta connected stator, that's why three wires are only coming. For star connected stator there will be four wires, three phases, and one neutral point is also required to be taken out. Okay, only 3 points are taken out here, so I can say there is a delta connected stator, and they are actually connected to six diode pack. So this A side is there, and also three diode pack of auxiliary diodes. So the other side of this plastic material, all those 9 diodes or actually 11 diodes, they are connected. Okay, so whenever supply are taken from out from the alternator, they are actually this not this supply, but they are actually the rectified DC supply which is taken out from the alternator. So this is rectifier pack with three-phase stator supply. So this is the rectifier pack in the other side of this plastic, and this is a three-phase stator supply. Okay. Now the rectifier pack is here, it is shown. Now there will be added another two diodes with the six diodes. Okay, why? So this is another very big question. The title of the slide is non-zero voltage with third harmonic at neutral of the star connected stator of the alternator. So for star connected stator, there is a neutral point N. Okay, we can find the image previously, so it is not shown. Okay, I will be showing you later on. So with the star connected stator, there are three phase and there is one neutral. And ideally, the neutral should be having zero voltage. But practically, what we find is due to the imbalance in the phase-wise loading and due to asymmetry in the construction of the stator and rotor, a small potential gets developed at the neutral point. So here the three-phase ROIB connection is shown. Okay, you can see that these are very high amplitude AC. Okay, so let's say this is 50 hertz. Let's say, okay, for car frequency is higher, but let's say it's a 50 hertz supply. RYB, they are higher amplitude supply. They are actually rectified by that six diodes which are shown in the previous slide. But at the neutral point, there is another small amplitude AC with 150 hertz frequency. So RYB each, so this is one cycle of R, you can see. This is one cycle of Y. So you can see this Y phase is going here and coming down and ending here. Okay, and within this one cycle of Y, which is starting here and there's the end point, you can find there are three cycles of this small neutral voltage. The first thing, at neutral, there should not be any voltage. This is the first thing. But what we are finding is within one cycle of actual output voltage, there are three cycles of neutral voltage with lower amplitude. So this is the AC which is called as third harmonic. Because if car supply is 50 hertz, this three supplies produced by alternator actually is 50 hertz, then this neutral frequency will be having frequency of 150 hertz. That's why this is called as a third harmonic. So 100 hertz frequency will be second harmonic, and 50 hertz frequency is called as the baseband signal or the actual fundamental frequency. Okay, so this frequency is also carrying some kind of energy, and one pair of rectifier is connected in parallel with those six to rectify this small frequency as well. So instead of six, there will be eight diodes connected. So two diodes will be there to rectify R phase, two will be there to rectify Y phase, two will be there to rectify B phase, and two diodes will be there to rectify this neutral point voltage. Ideally, this should be zero, but practically we are finding very small voltage. Now, why to rectify that? It is said that the potential has, so whatever potential we are finding at neutral, that potential has 3 times frequency that of the fundamental frequency. The fundamental frequency is what the alternator is producing. If it is 50 hertz, then this neutral frequency will be 150 hertz. Okay, so it is said that the potential has, that is neutral point potential has frequency 3 times that of the fundamental frequency produced by each of the stator phases. The neutral point potential has frequency 150 hertz and is called as the third harmonic. Now, why to rectify it? By employing 2 extra diodes, one positive and one negative, connected to the star neutral point, this AC voltage can also be converted to DC. So, as this is a AC of 150 hertz, it will have frequency, but by 2 diodes, one positive, one negative, or one diode arm, this neutral point voltage can also be converted to DC. Then it is used to charge the batteries as well. So output will be taken from the same point from where the actual phases DC was being extracted. Okay, so the same point, this AC extracted DC also can be taken out, and increase the DC power of 15% can be observed. So if we are rectifying this AC, we'll be finding that this is adding almost 15% to the already produced DC, which was being produced by rectifying R, Y, and B phases. So now what we find is this is a complete internal alternator circuit. This will be asked for a 10 marks question. Please prepare. Okay, so this what we are finding is a total circuit. Okay, now total circuit, let us see what is what. So you can find this is a star connected alternator stator, and this is the neutral point. So these three are the points. So this is R phase, Y phase, and B phase. They are coming here, and these are the main diodes, positives and negatives. These are actually rectifying this 3-phase AC and giving the supply to the battery. And these are the 6 diodes. So these 6 diodes are having 2 jobs. First one is they have to rectify the 3-phase AC, give to the battery. And second thing, they have to block any kind of reverse current which might come from battery towards the alternator. So this 6 diodes look into that. It rectifies as well as it blocks any kind of reverse voltage from battery towards the alternator. Now see that this is a 4th line. This 4th line is again given to this 2 main diodes. Okay, these 2 main diodes are actually rectifying 3rd harmonic rectification, and this total 8 diodes are producing a high DC, and these 2 diodes are producing 15% more DC output, which is used to charge the battery. Now you can see that these 3 are the sector A. So this is actually sector B. Now these 3 diodes are sector A. They are actually rectifying the same RYB phase, and this DC actually is given to the warning light. Warning light is also in series with, connected in series with the ignition. So warning light gets on whenever there is some fault in this charging system. Otherwise, when charging is happening and everything is going smooth, alternator is producing electricity and all other things, in that case warning light will not be on. Okay. As soon as there is some problem in all the circuits, this warning light will be on. Okay, so these 3 diodes are called as field diodes, or they can be called as excitation diode, they can be called as field diodes. Okay, why they are called as field diodes or auxiliary diodes? Why they are called as field diode? Because whatever DC is produced at this point, the same DC is coming here, and this is that field coil. What is meant by field coil? This is the coil at the rotor of the alternator, who is used to create the magnetic field inside the alternator rotor. Okay, and this is the supply voltage, or this is the supply voltage which is connected to this field coil of the alternator. Hence, as these diodes are generating field current, these diodes are called as field diode. So I'll repeat again, this the same supply RYB, they are rectified by less capacity diodes. So this current is less compared to this diode. So sector B diodes are of high current capacity, sector A diodes are of low current capacity, but they are producing DC. One job of DC is to produce the warning light and to do the ignition thing. Second part of this DC, that is low current DC, is going to energize the field of the alternator, and this is actually creating the field MMF, that is the field magnetomotive force, or that is creating the magnetic field, and that magnetic field is also rotating because the stator is having a because the stator is producing a 3-phase rotating supply. Hence this magnetic field also will be a rotating magnetic field. So this point, from this point actually we are taking 3 supply outputs. One is going for warning light, one is going for the field of the alternator, and third one is going for the regulator. Okay, so just by this point we are actually controlling. So three currents. So just by correct these two currents, these 2 points are actually entering the regulator. We will see the details regulator circuit in the next day. Then you will understand what is where is this point going. So this point actually is going to the base of transistor T2. Okay, and this thing is actually going to the collector of transistor T2. So this point is actually connected to the base of transistor T2 with a resistance R3, and this point actually going to the collector of transistor T2, and regulator is actually controlling this current flowing through this field coil. Okay, just by controlling the current flowing through the field coil, we can control the output produced by this alternator stator. Okay, so if we want more current or less current, in that case we can control the field current more or less. Okay, so this is the regulator circuit. We will see that in detail, and by controlling this regulator we can control current flowing through the field, we can control the output of the alternator, and the charging of the battery also can be controlled. Let us just go through the complete internal circuit. Has three main diodes and three negative diodes. So this is the three positive diode, three negative diodes. So these six are the main diodes. Then three stator phase rectification diodes. So these are the three stator phase rectification diode like this, and two diodes, main diodes for rectifying the third harmonic. So these two are the diodes for rectifying the third harmonic. The voltage regulator is shown in the diagram. So voltage regulator is connected in series with the magnetic coil or field coil. Okay, the warning light WL. So this thing is the warning light WL, and rotor magnetic field excitation are connected in parallel. So this, from this point, one supply is going to warning light, another supply is going to the regulator, another supply is going to the field coil. All these three things are parallel. For any fault in the charging circuit, the WL will glow. Okay. Typical wattage of the WL bulb is 2 watt. Many manufacturers connect a resistance parallel to this. So even if the WL goes bad, even if WL is not functioning, then also the ignition system or charging system will be proper. So the charge warning light bulb is extinguished when the alternator is actually functioning. Okay, so when the alternator is functioning properly, this warning light will not be on. Likewise. Okay. So this is a 11 diode circuit, and we have explained everything except this W. So what is W? W is actually a phase connection which is taken out. Now this phase connection is for two purposes. First, we can find out how much is the phase voltage, how much is the phase current. You can check. Okay, so only from one phase this thing is taken, and as this is balanced load, so whatever happens in the one phase voltage and frequency, other two phases also will be having the same voltage and same frequency, because stator is a balanced stator. Okay, so what is this W doing? This phase connection, from this phase connection we can find out how much is the frequency of each phase, and from the frequency of phase we can find out how much is the speed of the speed of the vehicle. Okay, because vehicle speed is directly connected to the alternator output frequency. Okay, and alternator output frequency, if there is a change, there will be change in the DC produced at this point. So this point W is actually for phase connection, and this is for actually estimating the phase frequency as well as the alternator frequency, or actually for the car speed. So rev count, car revolution per second, that is engine revolution per second count, this phase connection can be used. So you have to draw this diagram. It can be asked for a 10 marks question. You have to explain sector A, sector B, and these two diodes. You have to explain what is regulator, what is field coil, what is WL, what is W, what is battery. These diodes are blocking the any supply from the battery to a stator. All these things can be explained in detail. Now this is a charging circuit. Okay, so this is a symbolic representation. So this is that alternator. From here, main three-phase AC is produced here, and actually this is a DC output. So main three-phase AC is inside the alternator, and after rectification this is the DC. So main DC is connected to the battery by means of one wire. In some cases there are two wires which is connected from the DC output of the from the alternator and to the battery. Okay, so this is the main DC output, and this is actually going to the WL warning light, and ignition or start switch comes in series with that. Okay, and this is the W phase output from the alternator. This is for the rev count. So what is said is the main DC output after rectification is connected to the battery via a suitably sized cable. So in some cases, two cables are connected to increase the reliability and flexibility. So WL is connected in series with the ignition switch. A wire is taken out from the alternator as the phase terminal W or rev count. So that is this part. Okay, so this is that rev count. Output of the alternator is often connected to the starter main supply, and it is simply for convenience of wiring. So output of the alternator is connected to the main supply simply to for the convenience of wiring. All wires are kept as short as possible because we don't want the wire power drop to be more. Okay, because there's already a constant supply, so as less power drop happens in the wires are better. Okay, so all wires are kept as short as possible to reduce the voltage drop in the circuits. This maximizes efficiency. The voltage drop across the main supply wire when the alternator is producing full output current should be less than 0.5 volt. So what all wires are there together, their power drop should not be more than 0.5 volt. So this is another charging circuit combination or shown. So here instead of one, two main cables are shown here. Okay, and this is the different connection points. So this is a starter solenoid switch. It is connecting this main supply to the battery, and it is connecting the start ignition when required. And this is the WL or warning light. So for some systems have an extra wire for alternator to sense the battery voltage directly. So one is actually connecting the supply to here. Another wire can be used to sense what is the SOC of the battery. So this wire can be used for that. An ignition feed may also be found in this, as often used to ensure the instant excitement of the field windings. So this actually is measuring the field current. Okay, so somehow by indirect method, this line is actually measuring the field current. A number of vehicles link a wire from the engine management ECU to the alternator. This is used to send signal to increase engine idle speed if the battery is low on charge. Okay. Now this was about rectification and charging circuit. Then what you will see is called as regulation or voltage, regulation of voltage from the alternator output. So what is the charging voltage required? There's a very important figure. Remember 14.2 plus minus 0.2 volt. So 14.2 is standard. 14.2 less than 0.2 means more voltage is required. So we are always trying to charge the two 12-volt batteries inside the car with 14.2 volt supply received at the output of the rectifier from the alternator. So alternator is producing AC. After that, rectifier is converting it to DC. That DC output should be in the range of 14.2 plus minus 0.2 volt. And two 12-volt batteries are charged by using this 14.2 plus minus 0.2 volt. So to prevent vehicle battery from being overcharged, so somebody will say, I'll connect 20 volt. You don't, because more overcharging you are doing to the battery gassing will become too high. And we are nowadays actually using maintenance free battery. Maintenance free battery are actually having no gassing. But if you are using too much of voltage, in that case, gassing will occur inside the battery. That will damage the battery. Okay. So the main reason for using maintenance free battery is we are actually controlling the charging of the battery in a very precise manner. If we can control the charging of the battery in a very precise manner, that is 14.2 is constant. It is not going beyond 14.2 plus minus 0.2. In that case, gassing inside the battery will be very less. In that case, we will be able to produce no gas inside the battery. That means battery will be very fine. So it will not require any kind of maintenance. Okay. So accurate voltage control is vital with the ever increasing use of electronic system. It has also enabled the wider use of sealed battery. Sealed battery means the gassing will be very less here or no gassing, as the possibility of overcharging is minimal. So if you are using regulator, possibility of overcharging is minimal, gassing will not be there. We can use the maintenance free sealed batteries forever. Okay, so two common regulators are shown here in the right side. So these are common regulator taken from Bosch, and here why voltage regulation is difficult is explained here. Voltage regulation is difficult task on vehicle as engine speed and load on alternator is ever changing for a vehicle. The alternator output voltage without regulation rises linearly with engine speed. Now the car is running on a road depending on the traffic condition, depending on the road condition. Okay, we are continuously changing the speed of the vehicle. That means engine, IC engine is changing its output, that is speed of the vehicle is randomly varying. So if that is randomly varying, that means rotation of the rotor inside the alternator is also randomly varying. In that case, the alternator output also will vary randomly. But whatever happens, what we have said is alternator output should be stable. Okay, so even with a very highly dynamic varying situation of the alternator input speed, we have to produce a perfectly stable output from the alternator. Okay, so this can be done by using the regulator. So that's why it is said voltage regulation is a difficult task on vehicle, as engine speed and tools and loads on alternator is ever changing for any vehicles. Alternator output voltage without regulation rises linearly with the engine speed. That means as engine speed is increasing, alternator output is also increasing. But that should not be the case. Alternator output should be within a stable band. Alternator output is directly proportional to the magnetic field strength, which in turn is proportional to the electric field. Okay, so if speed is increasing at the time, the alternator magnet is also getting more supply from the alternator. So in that case, its speed also will be increasing, but that should not be the case. So that's why a regulator should be there. The task of the regulator is to control this rotor magnetic field, that means current flowing through the magnetic field of the rotor in response to the alternator output voltage. So alternator output voltage, that means speed of the engine is high, alternator output is high. In that case, we have to cut the current flowing through the rotor magnetic field to bring the voltage to a stable level, that is 14.2 volt. And whenever the voltage falls below 14.2 volt, at that time again we have to make the current flow through the rotor magnetic field so that the alternator output increases. So only two things you have to remember, that is whenever the speed goes below 14.2, make current flow through the alternator magnetic field. That will increase the alternator output. So voltage will be taken to 14.2 volt. Whenever the alternator output DC is 14 greater than 14.2 volt, in that case cut the current or remove the current from the alternator magnetic field. As the current is removed from the alternator magnetic field, it will be producing less output voltage. Again, this voltage will come to 14.2 volt or less. Controlling alternator output actually is done by controlling the field current in the alternator, and that is the job of regulator. So here is a flow chart for the vehicle regulator action. First you have to check whether the alternator voltage, so this is always the alternator voltage, the range is 14.2 plus minus 0.2. Is the voltage over 14.2 volt? So voltage is greater than 14.2 volt. What you have to do is switch the rotor magnetic field off. What is meant by rotor magnetic field? This is the current which is flowing through the field coil of the alternator. Okay, so as soon as the voltage is greater than 14.2 volt, we have to cut all the current flowing through the magnetic field of the alternator. Okay, and after cutting, again we have to go back and we have to check the alternator voltage. Is it still greater than 14.2? Answer is yes. Keep the rotor magnetic field current, that is field current, again in the off state, as long as the voltage is not becoming lesser or equal to 14.2 volt. So this is one loop. The second loop is start, check the alternator voltage. Is the voltage over 14.2? No, the voltage is suppose 14 volt. In that case, no will be answered. So if voltage is lesser than 14.2 volt, that means battery is not getting required supply to charge itself, because to charge the battery, best output voltage from the rectifier in the alternator is 14.2 volt. So if alternator is producing less voltage, alternator rectifier output also will be less. That means battery is getting less charge to charge itself. So in that case, is voltage over 14.2? Answer is no. Voltage is suppose 13.9 or 14 volt. What you have to do is switch the rotor magnetic field on. That means tell the alternator to make current flow through the alternator field coil, and the alternator field coil will be energized, and then it will be going, and again the question will be asked, check alternator voltage. Is it over 14.2? No, answer is voltage is 14.1. So there is a sensor there. If it is 14.1, it is still not 14.2. What you have to do is keep that magnetic field on. That means make the current flow through the rotor magnetic field, and the voltage will keep on building up inside the alternator, and that will actually produce higher output voltage at the output of rectifier, and rectifier output voltage will be 14.2. Then you are coming here, is voltage over 14.2? Answer is yes. Suppose voltage is 14.3. What you do is cut the supply from the magnetic field. So this is the way the whole scenario goes. So regulator action shows how the magnetic field current is switched off as output voltage increases, and then back on again as the output voltage reduces. But one very big caution is there, that as soon as we are cutting the current, or as soon as we are connecting the current to the coil, then and there will not be an increase in the alternator output voltage, because alternator having a coil, so field coil, and alternator having a stator coil. So voltage is building up in the stator coil, voltage is building up in the field coil. If the voltage is building up in the field coil, that will produce a rotating EMF with a changed magnitude MMF density, and that will actually induce more electricity in the stator, and stator will produce higher output. So all this processes takes time. So it is saying that the abrupt switching of the field current does not cause abrupt change in the output voltage of the alternator due to very high inductance of the rotor field winding. So I told you in the circuit, inductor and capacitor, they are two components with memory. With memory means they take time to remove their memory stored element data, and then it builds up. Okay, so already some negative direction voltage was stored maybe in the winding, so that has to be first nullified to zero, and then the building up process starts. Okay, so the concept of lead current, lead voltage, lag voltage, all those things comes here. So building up of voltage, stator voltage in stator, does not happen very fast. Okay, it takes some time. So just now I have switched on the magnetic field. Maybe it will take 30-40 seconds to increase the output of the alternator. That is what they are saying. So within this time, this loop will keep on continuing. So after 3-4 iterations of loop, now we can say that yes, the output voltage of the alternator has come to a certain level. So the whole switching process actually takes few milliseconds. So many regulators also incorporate some temperature compensation to allow a higher charge rate in colder conditions, and to reduce the rate of hot condition. So here actually this is the regulator that we are going to see. So I told you there are coming two supplies. One is going directly to the regulator, another is going to the field winding. Okay, so this will be connected to the regulator in transistor T2. I will show it to you in my next lecture. And this is actually the supply to the field winding, and through the collector of T2, this supply is connected to the battery. Okay, so the regulator actually regulates the on and off of transistor T2. So when transistor T2 is on, at the time this field winding will be carrying current. When transistor T2 is off, at the time this field winding will not be able to carry any kind of current. So it's only about controlling the transistor T2 in the regulator. So you can say this is the transistor T2, and just by controlling this on and off of this transistor, we can control the magnetic field current. So current and voltage regulator is the name of the slide. What we are finding is alternators do not require any extra form of current regulation. Okay, so alternators are mainly for voltage regulated thing, so they don't require any kind of current regulation. So if the output voltage is regulated, output voltage of the alternator is regulated, the voltage supplied to the field winding cannot exceed the preset level. So if we can totally control how much is the output voltage of the alternator, okay, that will actually control the output voltage of the rectifier to exactly 14.2 volt. In that case, field winding output or field winding supply, that is supply to this, it also will be, but that does not happen because every time the car is not running with the same speed. Sometimes you have to increase the speed, sometimes you have to decrease the speed. Okay, so whenever you are increasing the speed, at that time alternator rotor is rotating very fast. Okay, in that case automatically it will tend to produce very high output from the alternator. At that time you have to cut this field winding so that less voltage is produced from the alternator. So this in turn, so here you can check alternator do not require any extra form of current regulation. It is all about voltage regulation from the alternator. So if the output voltage is regulated, that is the alternator output voltage is regulated, then the voltage supply to the field winding cannot exceed the preset level. Okay. This in turn allows a limited certain current to flow through the field winding, and hence a limit is set for the field strength. So that is the same thing. If we can control the alternator output voltage, output of the rectifier will be controlled. In that case, the current that is flowing through this field winding also will be controlled, and there will be no overcharging, there will be no gassing created, and we will be having a safe battery performance. Problem in mechanical regulator. So I have not talked about mechanical regulator, mainly electrical regulator I'm showing it to you. But if there are mechanical regulators which we used to use previously, is that there is a contact. Okay, there is a contact in the solenoid, and that contact breaks and makes and breaks. Okay, very frequently, and there is produced spark. Okay,